Good morning. My name is Brian McNeill.
And I am Lisa Santiago McNeill.
And thank you for joining us on our show, Let's Talk About It. We come to each Monday through Friday right here on the SIBN network, on iHeartRadio, YouTube, TuneIn, as well as Facebook Live. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Like.
So good morning. Good morning. If you're a woman, you're in luck because today the men are in the house running it. I got an amazing co-host. DrLisa is doing some amazing things this morning. She's doing stuff that DrLisa can do. She's actually a chairman of a nonprofit organization called Home for Me. And they have a meeting this morning where she has to go as chairman. She has to go. She has to go handle some stuff. But I am not flying solo today. Oh, no. I have a special guest that y'all know and love. He's already in the room. I'm going to bring him up right now. Coming to the stage is our man, Mr. J. Mattier.
Good morning, my Empowerment Duo family. My name is J. Santiago McNeill.
Really?
Welcome.
No, he is not. Man, but I'm so happy that Jay is in his room with me today because we're going to have a wonderful discussion. Now, a lot of you guys are accustomed to seeing Jay come in and talk about financial things, personal financial things. And he's still going to do that today, too. He's going to do that in a segment today. But today, we're going to talk about things around it, too, because most of the people that tune in here, these are grown folks. This podcast here is for grown folks. We don't get a whole lot of 23-year-olds in here. But we do get, some people in the 20s, but most of us here are over 40, over 50, over 60. And I was talking to Jake, and it's so funny because I had this thought about, let's talk about tips or what it's like to be over 50. But he took it to another place. When people wait until the 50s, the penalties, what happens with that? And then he was talking, and everything I said, he had that's why. Go ahead on, Jay. What do you say about that conversation?
It is a great conversation because what happens is that, and it ties into what I talk about all the time, when you start thinking about your next generation. People with money or people with influence or people with power think in decades. We think in year to year. We think month to month.
Or month to month, yeah.
But we have to start thinking ahead, not only where you are, but where you're going. And a lot of time, people don't think about that until after the kids are gone, after they've done everything, after they spent their future money. Then they hit 50.
Or if they're in trouble.
Then they hit 50, and it's like, what am I going to do now? What does my retirement look like? So, it's very important to really think in those terms and in that direction, about your time and your age and what are you going to do after a certain money. To your point, you're talking about, up to your 50s is when you learn, and over 50 is when you earn. But if you haven't learned enough to plant that seed or to start building that map, you're not going to go anywhere at 50.
Well, I know you're right. But as you were talking, some of the stuff you just now said, you said to me more than once, more than twice, probably more than 10 times, but it's still the kind of lesson that I still need to hear. He constantly talks about, think about yourself, what your life's going to be like 10 years from now. But even that I heard it, and I know you hear it too. We all hear it. But what is it, Jay, that we hear it but don't do nothing? What's going on with that, man?
Well, we talked about, you're so concerned about today.
Yeah.
You're so concerned about today that you forget tomorrow. And today is fine, but tomorrow, if you're blessed, is going to come. And so if you spend all of your time in one area, one field, and you neglect the other parts, just like in life, like they talk about the body, the hand can't live without the eyes can't live without so if you take away any of those segments, it's almost like your wheel of life. So
yes,
your
sir.
wheel of life is mentally, physically, emotionally,
spiritually,
and
exactly.
financially. People forget to add the financial part. That's what I try to get people to understand, that is part of that wheel. Any of those spokes in that wheel are not operational, it sidetracks or damages the whole effect of the wheel.
That's a great example. Y'all heard it before, but sometimes you need to breathe life into these amazing examples. Because if you neglect any one of them, the wheel won't work as well. It just won't. You know, have big gaps between spokes, and it'll dent and bend, and it won't move. Okay.
And a lot of time people talk, they only talk about so many spokes in the wheel. They don't talk about the complete continuum of the wheel. And that's what we have to start looking forward. We have to start thinking like the total wheel.
You know, I noticed, Jay, that when people get a hold of something, like for example, people that never really worked out much, and then they get to their 50s or 60s even, and now that's all they want to talk about. That's all they want to do. They're in the gym every single day. They're eating right. They're talking. That's all they want to do and talk about. Repost their videos every day. I know some people like that intimately because they finally got a hold of that one. Okay, they were neglecting it up until that time, and then some people, they get this idea. You know what? I got this money, you know, but I can be investing in this, and I can take advantage of Bitcoin. I can do this and that and the other, and then that's all they talk about. That's all they think about it. So, you're alluding to, because we do want to be conscious enough to work on all five, but is it even possible as a human nature that we can focus on more than one at a time, or how do you feel about that?
Well, it's balance. To your point, the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. Yeah, I don't care if people talk about multitasking and doing this and that. The mind can only focus on one thing at a time. So what you have to do, it falls into a whole time management scheme. You're going to allot time for your devotion in the morning. You're going to allot time for your emails. You're going to allot time for your business. You're going to allot time for your family. You allot time for sleeping, and you allot time for planning your life. So it's more of a time management issue than being able to juggle all things, because you're going to do, just like you're going to see, you're going to talk, you're going to walk, you're going to do multiple things just in your own body per se. But there's a correct time for every appointed action.
You know, I think you're right. And I do want to talk. You talked about when you did the 5 spokes, you had your hand up. You talk about how people often neglect the financial spoke, often neglect it. And you know, we can easily have alibis as to why. No one ever taught us how, or I never really had enough money to save. All the money I had to be put towards the house or whatever. I didn't know about tithing or never learned about it. There's some baked into the fabric excuses, and they're good. The problem I have with them is they really are good sounding excuses. They really make sense. You could justify wasting your money. I gotta have some fun, right? I can't just pay bills and save. I gotta be able to have some fun. I gotta be able to go out too, right? Sure. You know, so those people who might be thinking along those lines, what would you say to them?
Well, Dave Ramsey always had a phrase that how's it go? Live like nobody else so that you can live like nobody else. So live like nobody else now so that you can live like nobody else in the future, because everybody doesn't have their thing. And it was take the time now to build your foundation, and then move. And it's not a race. There's no time frame. It's not a race, but you have to understand those folks in the wheel and how you're going to move through life, improving those things or getting a grasp on them. One thing like the spiritual, people have their spiritual routines, and that kind of comes naturally. And you get up, you pray, you do your devotional, you read, you meditate, and that just becomes natural. So when that becomes natural, now you can work on the next thing. But to your point, years ago, it's always instilled in us that money was bad, money was evil. People didn't talk about money. It was taboo to talk about it at the table. Nobody wanted to know how much anybody made. Although when you went to work, everybody knew how much everybody ate because y'all came in at the same levels or whatever.
But we really still didn't talk about it though. Yes.
Right. So you didn't talk about it. And so now all this time later, we're starting to talk about financial literacy. We're starting to talk about things, putting it into the schools because that's where it needs to be.
Yep.
So it's just, it's just the kind of negative connotations that we've had about money that were planted by other people. So those things got planted, and we started believing it, and it wasn't until because the whole system was rigged to keep us down. There's two classes. There's the working class and there's the elite class. The whole system was designed that you talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto rule. 80% of the people are workers to keep the 20% rich.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense to me. I want to say good morning to Robin C. Stern. He says, great content. Keep making it happen, guys. And William Brown's popped in the room, says, happier today, fam. Jay, when you were just talking, it brought to mind one of my friends, a very good friend of mine, actually. He's moved away. I don't see him as much, but him and I, we met in our 20s, and we've been our friends for 30 years. We used to pick at him, okay? Now, he left our business and started business of his own, and he ended up buying the biggest house in an established neighborhood. Okay, swimming pool, basketball court, large gazebo area, huge decking. The best deck you ever saw. Only black family, too, in this part of the subdivision. And they were probably the youngest ones there. Okay. Now, he saved all his money. He didn't spend hardly any money on contractors. They painted themselves. They did their own yard work. And he didn't spend any money frivolously. Like if we go out to where fellas were drinking, after about one drink, he can't afford another drink. He definitely didn't have any money for fast food. He didn't spend any money on nothing like that. He drove 55 miles an hour because he didn't want to risk ever paying for a speeding ticket ever. Why give away any of his money? That's how he held on to his money. So he's fastidious about his money, protect his money, because he has a dream of retiring in Belize with his family and live off of what he's got. And we all know, even though we pick at him now, that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to be able to live like a king because he was willing to live like nobody else was willing to live. I wasn't willing to live like him, but he's willing to do it. Him and his family willing to do it.
Right. Yeah. So that goes back to he talks about you eat beans and rice or rice and beans the next day. So you just you have that vision, and that's what a lot of people lack. They lack the vision because they don't believe that they could ever achieve the things that they see.
Look what he just said, y'all. That's brilliant. They lack the vision because they don't believe it. Even if they say they want to be a millionaire, they don't believe they can. Go ahead, man.
Right. Because a lot of times, and it's unfortunately, it is the fault of our generational wealth builders. What happens is that once you get to a point where you are successful or have made it or whatever, what was the first thing that we all did? We all lived in the hood. We grew up in the hood, but once we got some money, we left.
Yeah, we moved. We left the hood. Yeah.
So when you leave the community and you don't put anything back into it, the community dries up because as more and more people get successful and
all the wealth leaves.
All the wealth leaves. It's it's talking about the cycles of money. So if you have a vibrant community, your money will cycle through that community at least 4, 5, 6 times. If you're in a dried up community that don't have the resources, have food deserts, have things that you can't attain, have high unemployment, poverty, the turn in that community is only once.
If that, I've seen
And
it
then it
less.
leaves. And then it
Yes.
leaves.
It's
Because,
like money
I talk
comes
about
into that community and leaves the community.
leaves the community.
Miss Phyllis, good morning to you, Miss Phyllis. Robin C. Stern submits, if you want what other people have, you have to be willing to do what other people want. It's just interesting way he turned that phrase.
Right,
Uh,
right. It's funny that a long time ago, I was talking with a person he's a tax professional, and he always talked about, he was Brazilian, and what happens is that community, they stick together for one thing, but he always talked about doing what people can't do, won't do, or have to do. So they can't do things that need a particular certification, a degree, or some type of thing. Those are things that people can't do. Things that people don't want to do, after a certain time in life and after a certain level of success, you have somebody else cut your grass. You have somebody else clean your house. You have somebody else take care of your pool. You have somebody else do it. And then the things that people just don't want to do, or can't do,
don't want to do.
and have to do. So things that have to do, like pay taxes, pay for insurance, buy houses. So if you can harness one of those three things, then you have a good step forward to having a successful business. So things
What a
that
great
people
thought.
can't do, have to do, or don't want to do. If you
As
learn,
a business owner myself, I can certainly relate because there's things in my business that I can't do that I need to figure out a way to get done. And there's parts of my business I can do, but I don't want to do. I'd
right,
rather hire someone to do that. It's not a core strength of mine. I
right,
can muscle through it, but it'll take me hours to do something that somebody else might take 10 minutes to do.
right,
So I'd rather pay for that service too. And it's also interesting from stuff that you can't do, stuff you don't want to do, and then the stuff that you have to do. And I'm grateful that we can afford to pay for someone to take care of our yard, pay for someone to clean our house. And if there was more services I could think of to pay for, I would, because I've learned that the more I pay for stuff to be done for me, the more time I have and the
right.
more effective I am. I'm better in other areas because I'm not cutting grass
Right.
or
So
sweating.
the whole community built up their economic engine based on those three premises. So if people in the audience are, if they're listening and they have some ideas about, I want to do something, but I don't know what to do, you have a roadmap. You've got a guide right now. The three pillars, things that you have to do, things that you can't do, and things that you don't want to do. If you can find a way to capitalize in those areas, you'll be well on your way.
Amen. Going back to Robin C. Stern, if you want what other people have, you have to be willing to do what other people want. You got to be able to do something that other people want done. Or I think Earl Nightingale put it this way: you get paid in direct proportion of what you can do that others can't easily replace.
Right.
If you have something
Right.
that they cannot easily replace, you become more valuable. Good morning, Dr. Deborah Dunstan. How you doing, my sister?
Good morning, Dr. Deborah.
Good morning to you. But you can't be easily replaced. Let's say you have a skill in the marketplace that can't easily be replaced. Your money should go up direct proportion to that. So,
Well, you,
but
t-
these
you
quotes from Earl Nightingale, those are old school quotes, right? Do they still work?
yeah, they still work. It's funny. It's funny that these were brilliant people. I'm always amazed at some of the things and the techniques and the science behind things, the science of getting rich, Earl Nightingale, I'm always amazed, even at our forefathers. Our forefathers had the intuition to know that mankind was power hungry and greedy. So they tried to develop something called the Constitution that would bring in the rails, put some guardrails to protect the nation from ourselves.
Exactly.
We see right now, power and greed are trying to bypass and destroy the integrity of the Constitution.
I'm glad it's you and I talking about this because we could go there. My wife's not here, Dr. Lisa, but Kamala Harris said, "Can you imagine Trump with no guardrails? Can you imagine?" And this is exactly what will go on with no guardrails. What he's done in the first year with Trump with no guardrails. He's got this House and the Senate. He does bullies everybody, just plows. I want a ballroom. Knock that down. Okay. I want my friends to get money, more tax, save on taxes. Big beautiful bill. No guardrails, nothing to stop him. Full steam ahead. I'm going to do something with the waiting pool at the Lincoln Memorial. Really, in the Capitol Center, really, you want to do something with that? You know what? I am tired of people discovering that I'm a pedophile and a sexual predator. So let's agree with my friend Netanyahu from Israel and bomb Iran. Okay, this is to distract, and it's going to be years before we can get out of there, man. Because they're not no punks.
Whoa. Let me rein you in because
rein me in because I'll go.
And we can have the whole discussion on that, but we don't feel like getting mad today. It's a beautiful Friday. It's Shouted Out Friday.
Okay, yes it is. Shouted Out Friday.
Shout out their business. Shout out what's going on. Shout out anything that they're doing. Let's do that so that we can calm down.
Yeah, and another thing. That's right. He's right. And good news, my grandbabies are coming through this weekend. My youngest daughter got engaged, and her fiance is graduating here in Charlotte this weekend. So they're all coming to Charlotte. So I'm happy I'll get a chance to see my grandbabies. And this weekend, I'm happy about that. Yep.
So
that's
in the audience,
out for me.
In the audience, we talked about timing and life after 50. What are your thoughts on that? When did you realize that you had more time? You got less time to go than you already came.
Wow.
You decided to do the things that you needed to do or wanted to do before you started developing your bucket list.
Good question. Dr. Deborah Dunster says, that's a great question. She says, I'll pay for stuff to be done for me so that I can focus on those things that I can do or even want to do. Amen for that. Thank you, Dr. Deborah. Brother Uzama Roz in the room. He says, good morning to everyone. Jay's right. This is still Shouted Out Friday. This is
Uzama, good morning, my friend.
Good morning. You can shout out your business, shout out your cause, shout out something that you feel might be worthy of sharing with anybody. It could be a reference for someone else. This week, I published 2 articles on LinkedIn, 2 different articles, because I'm inspired to write more and more. I get in these places, but one of the articles I wrote that selling is no longer theater. Okay, selling is no longer theater because I used to think, the better the performance. I used to even tell people we're just as much a performer as an actor or actress, but I don't think that's the truth anymore. But in the 90s and the 2000s, that would have been true, but it's not anymore. Things have shifted. I wrote another article this week called The Death of the Elevator Pitch, the death of it, because I don't think it applies well at all. So that's where my head is. So I'm shouting out 2 articles that I wrote and actually published this week.
Yeah, Brian, that's really great too, especially talking about the whole idea of the showmanship or the marketing, the strategies, the showmanship. I think throughout the years, people have started to be numb to that.
Yeah, they're exhausted by it.
Here comes the scammer. Here comes the marketer. Here comes the salesman. But to your point, and what you're heading in the direction, people want to be connected, and the way you connect people is through your story.
Yep. Yes.
People want to know your story, your struggles, what you did to overcome certain circumstances, what you did to become a successful sales coach. So it's more geared towards where's the connection, where's the genuine connection. Bells and whistles, techniques and strategies and techniques and everything. What can I do to make that heart-to-heart connection to really prove to you that I am the best product or service for you?
And one part of the way to do that is your authentic story. That's it. Your authentic story, your natural, and that right there is better than any pitch. Your story is better than any pitch because of the authenticity. That's it. The authenticity of it is what makes it better. That's why your story could be a killer story about why you do what you do and for whom is better than the slickest, best, well-written, highest paid for pitch you ever made. Okay, your story matters. Uzama Ross says, started thinking about it a couple of years ago. Jay, these aches and pains remind me to enjoy life today. What an interesting perspective.
Yes.
That ache you get when you get out of bed or up from a chair, he's reminded Uzama's choosing to put meaning on it. Okay. Oh, these aches are starting to crop up. Let's have some fun in life.
Those are cues. Those are God's cues letting you know that you're still alive, and you better take advantage of it.
That's right. That stop and look back, and next thing you know, your neck is aching. Wait a minute. That's a cue. How many people over 50 here have ever injured yourself doing absolutely nothing?
Nothing. just getting out of the bed, putting one foot on the floor. Oh,
what happened? Oh, I didn't do a thing. I didn't get up from the chair. I just stood up. That's all I did.
But you know,
I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah. But one of the things is that people need to not be afraid to explore, not be afraid to talk to somebody, not be afraid to be coached or mentored, because you don't know what you don't know until you need to know it.
Let's keep going with that.
And so you really need to understand, because if you're stuck in a pond, and you can't get out until somebody reaches out to you, somebody sticks a branch out to you, somebody jumps in and saves you. All our life is a journey. And within the journey, you'll notice there is the hero, and then there's the guide. There's always a guide that helps the young warrior, the young survivor, to conquer their feat. So in transitional stories, you have to have the vision and the stamina and the stick-to-itness to move forward, but you also need that guide that is going to give you some advice from their experiences so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that the warriors before you did.
No one ever has achieved great levels of success in anything without mentors or guides or something. Jesus had John the Baptist and Barnabas maybe, but we all did. Okay, Moses had people too. What was his wife's father's name? Moses' wife's father's name. But anyway, I can't remember. Jethro was in his ear. You can't keep listening to all these different gripes and complaints trying to handle it yourself. You got to raise up some lieutenants. He had some mentoring. Okay, he had some mentoring and some coaching. Jethro, thank you very much for that. We all need it. There was a season in my life, Jay, where I didn't have anybody to talk to that was doing better than me. But it was also the season where I still like to read. So I was reading a lot of books. And I had this realization, Jay, that my de facto mentors were Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy. I didn't know these men. I couldn't reach out to them like I can reach out to you, but I called them my de facto mentors. Was that crazy?
No, I mean, reading is fundamental. If there's anything that is just imperative for people, is being able to read and to understand, comprehend. There are some great books out there. There are some great lifestyle books. There are great financial books. There are great coaching books. If you just took the time to engulf yourself in reading, I mean, you go to school, but when you go to school, every class is based on a book.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take out the students and the teacher and you focus on the book will teach you and entertain you and guide you through life.
We got lucky today, Jay. We got Mr. Tony Leak up in the room.
We
got lucky.
I got to go for
Tony Leak says, two of my favorite brothers. Something clear in my schedules to be able to tune in. Preach on. Man, we got Tony in the house. Tony Leak, what's up, man? Uzama Ross says, over the past 10 years, I chased countless opportunities that failed me. I love the story. Until I acquired and held Bitcoin with my own private keys, which changed everything. CoachUzama.com. Good shout out. I love the story, Uzama. Over the past 10 years, I chased countless opportunities. I'm of the opinion those opportunities you chase, that money you invest, all your efforts towards your improvement, all of it is going to yield you some fruit. Okay, even if it doesn't look like it right now, and even if some of the stuff is way better than others, some of it can even be dreadful. But the spirit of why you went into it was to attempt to improve. I think that gets honored.
Yeah, I'm glad, Uzama, I'm glad you brought that up, because in the next coming months or so, I want to do a topic on the movement of money, the shift in the financial cycle, financial engine. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but people are lulled doing the things that they do every day. But the government is changing things. And what is happening is that money used to mean something. Back in the 1940s, whatever, money had value. Money was tied to the gold system. So your money was tied to the gold system. So you knew exactly what you had and what the value was. Since then, it changed to what they call a fiat system. So it changed to the ability to pay the debt.
Mm-hmm.
And this was started in Europe some years ago, where merchants and sailors and cargo, they needed some way to produce revenue and produce things so that they could pay for their cargo and goods until they actually sold them. So this fiat system is just based on your ability to pay a debt. So that's why you keep seeing people, we just keep printing money. We keep printing money. The treasury keep printing money. And what it does, the system has no real value. It's a promissory note. So once you don't pay or can't pay your promissory note, the whole system collapses. But what is happening, the third generation is being moved to more of a cyber crypto type or altcoin, Bitcoin. It's moving to more of a digital.
Yeah, it's virtual digital money.
It's a digital money. We've got to understand how to play that game, because if we don't, all the money you have might be worthless.
He's not guessing. Okay, what Jay just said, that's not a guess. He knows this. I hope y'all heard what he just said, because that should straighten your spine. It's 9:33 right now. We're going to take a moment here on this day in African American history. We're coming from the book Today in African American History, written by Michael A. Carson. And I always am excited that we've had Michael A. Carson on here as a podcast guest before. But I want to take you guys to 1862. I want to talk to you about entrepreneur and businessman Robert R. Church. Robert became the first African American millionaire in the South. He built a reputation for great wealth and influence in the business community. He founded Solvent Savings Bank, the first bank owned and operated by African Americans in Memphis, Tennessee. He extended credit to African Americans so they could buy homes and develop businesses. Church was also the largest landowner in the state of Tennessee. Robert R. Church. I didn't know that name before this moment, but it should be recognized. The
It
first
should
one
be.
to do it. Yes. Thank you, Michael A. Carson, for an amazing book. Mhm. Yeah.
Amen. And it
That's
just
that.
shows, it just
Mhm.
shows that we have the intelligence and the wherewithal to do whatever it is that we want to do. There are powers that be that might put roadblocks in front of you, but we can do whatever we want to do. You can do
Look at
whatever you
1862. 1862 was the beginning of Jim Crow laws, okay, which lasted for almost 100 years. That's the early stages of it. 1862 was long before Tulsa race riots. 1862, black people had no rights, and even less in the South. This man did that. Jay just talked about things that could get in your way, obstacles that overcome you. He had more than you have right now.
Right.
It's much easier for you and I. Okay,
Yeah.
we have access to the internet. Okay, we're growing up in a generation right now. The kids growing up now. This is a generation that will never not be able to get an answer. They will never have to guess. They'll Google every question. They'll YouTube every solution. There's going to be different than it was for you and I. I used
Right.
to have to walk 12 blocks to a library in Brooklyn, and I would do that. Okay, not anymore. It's different. Go ahead.
But yeah, that's great. So don't let the excuses blind you. The excuses that of the seeds of defeat and the seeds of destruction flourish in your mind. Break the curse of the past. Look to the future. Get involved with the whole concept of things going on around you. Not to the degree where it frustrates you or you get politically overloaded, but understand what's happening around you. Understand money. Understand AI. Understand digital currency. These are the things that are playing to the next generation of the next century of what's going to happen in the evolution of the world. So
Which is what's coming up for me.
don't get left behind.
What's coming up for me as you talk, Jay, is access to learning about these things is free and readily available.
Yes.
You can research how and why anything. We can learn
Right.
anything. It's free and readily available. You was talking earlier about learning things and having courage. Courage is the one word I wanted to lift up.
Yes.
Because in one of my books, it's called 932, the nine most important words, three most important skills, and two most important questions. But the first word I think has more to do with your happiness or sadness than any other is the word courage. The
Yes.
courage to try and try again, the
Correct.
courage to ask, the courage. It takes courage to succeed, in my opinion, in my book's hypothesis. It takes courage to achieve levels of anything because you have to have the courage to even try it,
Right.
to get it
And
started.
to your point, when we're talking about people over 50, they're really the key target of really exerting that courage. Because you got to have the courage. If you want to go from 50 to 60 to 70, you have to have the courage to move forward, make that plan, and stick to it. You got to have the courage to talk to other people. You can't live in a bubble, can't live in a box and expect to go anywhere. So you've got to have that courage. Don't think that you're too old. Don't think that you waited too long. Don't think that the technology is moving too fast. You have to the only way that you swim is you got to go in the pool.
Right. You don't swim without getting in the water. Okay. You can't swim without getting in the water. You got to get in the water. The
You got to get in
courage
the
to get in
water.
the water. Come on. And as you were just talking, Jay, another word popped up in my mind because you were talking about how you got to have the courage to do this and that in order to achieve or be or anything. You need some courage. But there's another word too that's come to my mind right now. And I'm speaking directly to the person who might feel like they waited too late, who might feel like the ship they missed their ship, or it's past tense for them. There's another word. The word is courage is one, but the other word that's popping up for me is tenacity. Now, if you don't have the luxury of time, like you didn't start at 25, if you don't
Right,
have that luxury, you can help. Um, you can help offset some of that with tenacity, going
right,
at it full, going at it with enthusiasm, going at it with full energy, going at it with full focus. The tenacity to do it for long enough.
right.
That's how you fix that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yes. Yeah. You have to have that stick to itness. You have to have the tenacity. You have to have the discipline and the consistency. Nothing moves without discipline and consistency. So
The older I get, the more I know that's true.
once you
Mhm.
harness those activities or harness that mindset, you're going to go much further than the first 50 years of your life. So I encourage everybody, don't give up, don't give in, just do something.
Do
Commit to
stuff,
yourself that you're going to do something.
man. There's a rap group in the '80s. Some of you guys might know them called Two Live Crew. You see it?
Yes.
Now they're known for horrible, overly sexual, jacked up lyrics. Okay, um, but they have this one jam called "Move Something." Move something. Now they're running a parallel about moving your butt on the dance floor, but just the way the lyric, the chord, move something, and that's when I was hearing when you were just talking. Try something, make something move something, get it going. I call it also. I used to teach this too. When you start marketing, if you start in sales and you start marketing an area, what you're doing is you're stirring up your market. You're stirring up the gift. You're getting it to move a little bit just by reaching out to your market. You're stirring it up because your market might
Right.
not even know that they want, need, or even have access to what you have. So you got to
Right.
stir the market.
Right. And, again, talking about courage, and courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is being able to go forward even with the fear. So you've got to do something, you've got to try something. Success is the end game of multiple failures. If you don't try something and fail, you'll never get educated, you never learn, and you'll just it'll become your biggest roadblock. You'll stop.
Yeah.
You can't stop. You
It's
can't.
amazing how that is so true, and people hear it, but they hear it? You fail your way to success.
Success.
No one achieves levels of success directly. It's not a straight shot. It's ups and downs. It's peaks and falls. I'm gonna write something too, man, about that probably today or this weekend. About my business. I would consider a successful business, but it took me 4 tries. I started it and failed 3 other times and had to retreat back into corporate America because I couldn't make it. I tried a 4th time and that was failing too. But I had a little bit more stick to itiveness on this fourth, just a little bit more, maybe even a day more. I was able to tough it out for just a little bit longer than I had in the past. But I had to develop that, from the other failures. I had to
Right.
develop that, from the times it didn't work. And I had to feel that hurt going back into corporate America in order for me to be just a little bit more tenacious, to not quit just a little bit longer before it became successful.
Thing is, if you're not failing at something, it means you're not doing anything.
That's the surest way. Not just don't do nothing. But even then, you're succeeding in doing nothing, but you're failing and winning in life. There's one of the funniest movies I ever saw was a movie.
You're successful at doing nothing. So
Right.
success is all around you. Just your perspective of what success is to you.
There's a scene in this funny movie called Office Space. this guy's in his apartment. His next door neighbor's over there, and they're just chit chatting. And he says to his friend, his neighbor says, "What would you do if you got $1 million? What would you do if you got $1 million?" And the guy said something funny. And he said, "What about you? What would you do if you got $1 million?" He goes, "Me, if I got $1 million?" He goes, "I would do nothing. I would sit down all day long. I would relax. I would do nothing if I had $1 million." And his friend retorted, "Well, man, you don't need $1 million to do nothing.
Do
Look,
that.
look at my cousin. He's dead broke and don't do jack." Dr.
Yes.
Deborah says, "Are you a church or nonprofit called to serve and support women, children, and families, but lack the structure and money for moving the mission forward?" Well, Healing Lives Fellowship, Inc. announces its Partnering for Good project. We bring to the table fiscal sponsorship, 501c3s, 40 years of professional grant writing and funding strategy, experience, and a cultivated grant list. Let's work together to walk in purpose. Let's move the
Amen.
mission from vision to provision. Inbox me to learn more. Good job, Dr. Deborah Dunstan.
Good job, Dr. Deborah. And there's a lot of amazing people in this group.
It
So
really
much
is, man.
talent, so much skill, and birds of a feather flock together. So
Yes, sir.
if what you need, you've got it right here. You've got the resources. I just want to say one thing because we got to move on and get into the greeting songs and logos.
Oh man, it's
But
time. Go ahead, man. Thank you for the reminder. It's time. Go ahead.
But I just wanted to say, this was a great discussion. We had a great time. I actually had a topic and everything to share with you, but I think that this is more valuable than anything that I would have said in this go
Okay.
round. It was
I was supposed to block out time for it, man. My bad.
I know, but what I wanted to say as a shout out, I want people to save the date. We're actually going to have a kick off the summer Memorial Day weekend white party. And I just wanted to know if people that are going to be in town, they're invited. This group is invited, and we'll have a great time. So I just want to say the date is Saturday the 23rd, and we'll put something together so that
the 23rd of May.
No, yep, 23rd of May.
That's soon. Yeah, that's very soon. And I was about to say white parties are corny, but I got two outfits. I got two all white outfits. I got a short set and a long pants set.
And the other thing, and I'm keeping this quiet, for the VIPs, there's a Friday night cocktail hour. So you are automatically invited to the VIP Friday night cocktail hour.
And he's talking to the people in this circle because you're the only ones that's going to hear about it. Okay. We do have what's called greeting songs and greeting logos. It's our way of saying thank you for those consistent contributors. A contributor is someone who puts stuff in the comment section. Up first today is Mr. Robin C. Stern. He put in the comment section, so he got a song. He's been contributing for a while. But his song goes, Robin C. Stern, he's your Google guru. Teach, Google guru. Teach. That's his jam. William Brown's got one too. Good morning to our friend Will. Nobody thinks like him still. We love him so, and we always will. Our friend Will. Good morning, sir. Miss Phyllis is here. Miss Phyllis is here.
Miss Phyllis is here.
Clear the way. Miss Phyllis is here. Now we can all have a great day. Good morning, Miss Phyllis. I'm so happy. Miss Phyllis, I get so happy to see that you're in this room because I know you've been rocking with us the whole time. When we were wobbly and having horrible internet, Miss Phyllis was here. Okay. When the connections wasn't good, Miss Phyllis was here. And she stayed with us the whole time. Thank you, Miss Phyllis. Dr. Deborah Dunstan, every time I see your name or your face on anything, I get excited because I know the quality of a person you are. I know how friendly you are. I know how loving you are. And I know how fun you are to be around. So I'm honored every time I get a chance to have any kind of connection with you, Dr. Deborah Dunstan. But she has a song too. And it goes, Dr. Deborah,
Deborah,
nonprofit and funding coach.
Mm.
That's Uzama Ross got one too, and it goes, Bitcoin King, he's the Bitcoin King. Uzama, Bitcoin King, he's the Bitcoin King. Uzama, Tony Lewis, this beat is my recital. I think it's very vital. Tony Leak, that's why I want to put your song somehow. But that's what comes to my head every time. But Tony Leak, man, good for you to stop by and join us. Did I get everybody? Let's see. Robert says Friday.
Tony, I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
I want to see Tony too, man. Tony's cool as a fan. He is cool as could be. I've had some wonderful experience, you guys, and this is gonna make y'all jealous. But I've had time to hang out with Jay Mattier and Tony Leak and have a cigar and guy talk. That's all we was doing, having guy talk and a cigar and a drink. That's the coolest thing in the world.
We still have a few minutes for Shout Out Friday. People, if you have something going on, if you've got your business going, if you had any success this week or last week, shout it out. We want to hear from you. We want to know. We want to feel the fire so that we can stoke their fire so that you can be successful. The more people that we make successful, it becomes our success.
Man, thank you, Jay, for saying that. We still got a few minutes. That's an opportunity. Shout it out. Put it in the chat. We'll read it out loud. I promise. And you don't know who might need to hear what your shout it out is. It could be someone. They might need to hear what you got going on. Okay. I'm writing my 10th book. I'm super excited. It's called Never Pitch. And every time I say it, you don't write a book. You rewrite a book. Okay, that's just how it goes. You write it and then you rewrite it and you rewrite it and you rewrite it. And I'm going through rewrites right now. And I'm agonizing over it, Jay. It's 10 chapters, man. But I'm rewriting and I'm only at chapter 4. The book could technically be done, but I wouldn't like it the way it is. So I gotta keep going through. And sometimes I do like chapter 2 and 3 a couple of times before the sing right.
Well, Brian, what I have to say to you, which was the topic of discussion today, don't wait for the perfect time.
Yeah.
Finish the book, go back and reread and rewrite. Don't get stuck on a particular chapter because you've got 6, 8 more chapters to go.
Yeah. I have finished it, okay, but I want it to be, but you're right. It shouldn't be. Perfectionism is a sickness. Perfectionism slows you down. Trying to be perfect keeps you from. And some people say perfectionism is the symbol of the fear of success.
Yes,
that's what perfectionism is.
It's a myth.
Ooh, it's a myth. Did y'all hear Jay Mattier? It ain't got to be perfect, but it's got to be done.
Right. There you go. It ain't got to be perfect, but it's got to be done.
James Sutton Jr., I've talked about you this week. Good morning, sir. How you doing? I highlighted you this week in some kind of conversation. But it's 9:52. Thank you for hanging out with the men today. We didn't have the pretty DrLisa with us, but we did have, these 2 old men, bald-headed with glasses.
As the prophet DrLisa Santiago McNeill would say, okay, don't forget to have sex.
There you go. Y'all take it easy. God bless.